So this has been a fascinating, invigorating discussion about the intersections between mental health and cardiovascular health. As Azizi said, now we'd like to take the opportunity to explore a concrete example of how these ideas can be leveraged to inform the creation of a real digital intervention that accounts for both. As we noted, there are perhaps no two larger challenges to our collective well-being than cardiovascular disease, the leading killer of adults in the developed world, and mental health issues, one of the leading causes of disability. Both the American Heart Association and Hapify Health recognize the importance of mental health for both physical health and chronic illness. Hapify Health has been focused on this link for some time, actually, in multiple different chronic condition areas, such as diabetes and multiple sclerosis. And in 2019, the AHA's 40-member plus CEO Roundtable commissioned and published a report on mental health in the workplace, which produced a roadmap for employers to tackle growing challenges for addressing mental health issues. They also published their scientific statements earlier this year on the intersection, the heart-mind-body connection. So this shared recognition led to a natural partnership between the AHA's Center for Health Tech and Innovation and Hapify Health that was centered around the importance of mental health in addressing cardiovascular disease. So as we discussed today, these are not two independent issues. Multiple studies have demonstrated that mental health and cardiovascular health are closely and complexly intertwined. But of particular importance here are the studies that show that improvements in mental health may lead to downstream positive effects, like improved self-care and better ability to adopt and maintain health behaviors that are critical to overall physical and cardiovascular health. But despite these findings, mental health and cardiovascular health often remain siloed for many of the sort of systemic reasons we discussed earlier. And when they're addressed separately, these different approaches can't synthesize and take advantages of the overlaps between the two. So Hapify and the AHA recognized this need for a unified approach and created a mental health intervention that was specifically tailored to support healthy behavior change for populations with cardiovascular disease risks. And this intervention was Hapify Heart and Mind. With our established track record in mental health, Hapify worked with the cardiovascular experts from AHA to create Hapify Heart and Mind, which is a program designed to improve mental health and encourage heart-healthy behavior in individuals with cardiovascular disease risk factors like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, et cetera. So Hapify Heart and Mind is tailored to help patients address AHA's Life Simple 7. And these are the 7 risk factors that people can improve through lifestyle changes to achieve ideal cardiovascular health. And Heart and Mind does this by teaching people skills to manage their mental health and their health behaviors, allowing them to create sustainable behavior change and develop healthy habits around diet, activity, exercise, and sleep. Now, before we dive into the details of the Heart and Mind program, let's just take a quick look at how the Hapify platform itself works. So Hapify is a digital intervention designed to support mental and physical health through engagement with a variety of gamified activities drawn from evidence-based therapeutic modalities, including cognitive behavioral therapy, behavioral activation, mindfulness-based stress reduction, and positive psychology, among many others. Activities are grouped into 6 different skills. These are savoring, thanking, aspiring, giving, empathizing, and reviving. And we put these together into cohesive 4-part programs that we call tracks that are meant to focus the user on improving a specific area of concern. The Hapify platform has been shown through numerous studies, including randomized controlled trials, to improve symptoms of depression, anxiety, and stress, as well as well-being and resilience, taking that more comprehensive look at mental health as opposed to just focusing on the negative aspects. Here's just a very brief summary of results from our 2018 RCT, which just showed significant improvements in depression, anxiety, and resilience over 8 weeks for Hapify users compared to a psychoeducation control. Most relevant to our discussion today is our recently accepted publication in JMIR Cardio, which showed that real-world Hapify users with cardiovascular disease risks experienced significant improvements in their mental health, including both their subjective well-being and their anxiety levels, and that these improvements were actually greater for those who used Hapify more than those who used less. So now that we have a sense of how Hapify works, let's dive into a few of the specifics of the Heart and Mind program itself. So Hapify Heart and Mind is organized into 10 tracks, including one track created exclusively for the program by the AHA, which we'll take a closer look at in just a moment. All these tracks that are included in this program have also been enhanced with additional activities. So they come from the sort of traditional mental health Hapify intervention, but were infused with some AHA-specific activities like goal-setting exercises, strategies for incorporating more heart-healthy foods and diets, healthy meal prep, and ways to integrate more movement into their day, including videos that feature stretching or core exercises, resistance training, or yoga. So here's a look at one of the key tracks. This is called Defeat Stress and Live a Heart-Healthy Life, co-created with AHA's own Dr. Patrick Dunn, who is behind the scenes here, helping us out. To incorporate the AHA's excellent and informative content around Life Simple 7, we brought in the experts to actually provide that themselves. So this track emphasizes stress management, as well as healthier eating and increasing movement to support heart health. Hapify's behavior change model is based on evidence that bite-sized interventions that easily fit into a user's schedule actually add up to a meaningful impact. So each day, the platform unlocks different fun and fast exercises that over time will grow in complexity as you work through the program, training the brain to form healthier habits when it comes to things like expressing gratitude and overcoming negativity. So each of these activities also reflects one of those 6 essential life skills that I mentioned earlier that help make Hapify feel accessible and achievable as part of everyday life, right? That ties to the stigma idea that we talked about earlier. If mental health is always focused on the negative, about the suffering, it's harder to get people to engage with and want to move towards and actively enjoy working on a program like that. So once the individual has completed an activity, they receive a medal, which is tracked in their My Stats section, which lets them know how they're doing and building up these essential skills. These allow for positive reinforcements. This takes advantage of some of the aspects of gamification that have come under scrutiny in some cases, in the case of social media, that we believe in the right context can actually be helpful in encouraging people to use activities and interventions that are in fact beneficial for them, as opposed to those that take their time away from things that are most important. Hapify Heart and Mind also incorporates regular assessments, like we talked about earlier, which can help give users and their providers insight into their progress, as well as opportunities for growth. These assessments include the Hapify Scale, a proprietary validated measure of subjective well-being developed by our Chief Science Officer, Dr. Acacia Parks. Every 2 weeks, users are invited to complete a happiness assessment, which includes both the happiness scale and the GAD-2, the validated measure of anxiety that we mentioned earlier. So the Hapify scale, which focuses on well-being, is also highly correlated with the PHQ-9, that commonly used measure of depression. And this allows users to track their well-being in a quick, easy, stigma-free way, while also allowing Hapify and providers to gain insight into their current level of depressive symptoms without having to directly go after them. And then finally, every 2 weeks, users are, we've also added, in addition to the Hapify assessments, a assessment that covers AHA's Life Simple 7, right? We want to track the things that the program is focused on. And this includes a variety of items that helps users specifically track and improve their cardiovascular health progress. Very quick, brief overview, but thank you so much. We hope that this at least provided some insight into how this powerful relationship between mental health and cardiovascular health can be concretely leveraged in the form of a digital intervention to help support people in making and maintaining sustainable behavior change in pursuit of longer, healthier, and happier lives.